Hello, everyone, and welcome to Fan Sports New York Varsity. I'm your host, Frank Langella, joined by my co-host, Marsilio Langella. And Mars, this is our Frank's Finest for Class C, D, and the Hudson Valley Football League. And, we combine those together because some of the teams that were in the Independent League last year, moving back into Section 1, a few C schools, the Independent League becoming the Hudson Valley Football League. And so we thought that we would combine the two. And we want to welcome in our audience those who don't know. We both cover Section 1 football, the Hudson Valley Football League. We break down players. We predict the games. And we want to thank you guys again for tuning in, all the support that you've shown. And make sure you guys follow us again this year, if you don't, on all our social media platforms that you can see in the background and in the description. I know you can get all our content on our website at fansportsny.com. And there were some inquiries about donations and merchandise. All those are on the website, and we appreciate anybody who donates to the show. And we always appreciate your feedback. And going into how we select our Frank's Finest players, what the Frank's Finest is the top players returning from the spring. Some of them might be players you know already. Some of them might be a little bit surprising. But how we choose it, we're not going to get too deep into it. We go heavily on the film. We talk to coaches. We talk to scouts. And at the end of the day, it is our decision, and we believe these kids should be recognized as the top players in these amongst these teams. So let's dive into it, Mars. Finally, before we start, you will see some Frank's Film Room breakdowns, little snippets. The full videos are on our YouTube channel, which you can watch for the full breakdowns. So those are another important case. But let's start it off, Mars, at the quarterback spot. This was a really difficult decision to make. I think there was, there's a few guys, but I think two lead horses, and that was young man Robert Kennedy, the junior from Hastings High School, and Michael Dawson, the senior from Valhalla. Two very talented football players, and it was a tough decision, but at the end of the day, we're going to go with Michael Dawson, the senior from Valhalla, which I think at this point is the better quarterback. This kid, 5'11", 170 pounds. He injured his thumb the first game of the season in the spring, and he was out at quarterback for the season. But I love the toughness that he showed because he stepped in to play offensive line for Valhalla because he couldn't play quarterback. And to me, that shows leadership, that shows grit, and that shows toughness outside of him playing quarterback. But this is a 4-year starter who has a solid arm, who throws people open. And to me, what that means is he doesn't have to be wide open for him to make that decision. When you throw somebody open, it means you're throwing with anticipation and good touch. And he showed that he can do that, especially in between the numbers. But he has that arm strength that he can make tough intermediate throws outside the numbers. And again, that's what separates Michael Dawson from the crew. And I think he gets the slight edge, Mars. What are your thoughts on Michael?
Yeah, I feel like this shows that he has a lot of passion to him. Like the fact that he stepped in the playoff.
Team player.
He's a team player, right? And I think the most important thing is that he throws people open. He has this very good chemistry with his receivers, this anticipation of where they're going to be, and has this trust in them that they're going to make the play as long as he throws it in the spot that he expects them to be in. And I think that's something that's really important, and it shows you that he has the ability to not only to have this anticipation to his throws, but he has his accuracy, this nice touch that he can get it to anywhere he needs to get it to.
He is, and sometimes he's a bit of a gunslinger, so he'll take chances, but they tend to work out more than they don't. Let's go to the skill guys. Running back, wide receiver, and tight ends. And I'll start with a fullback, Mars. Brian Dan, the junior from Dobbs, Ferry. This kid, 5'11", 200 pounds. He was an offensive lineman as a freshman, and then he moved to the fullback spot. And running that triple option offense that they run, he was a bull for them. He runs hard. He runs through contact. He gets those hard-earned runs. But an underrated attribute that he has is he is a really solid blocker. He can move his feet. He actually blocked pretty darn well in space. And Coach raved about his development. He's a guy who keeps getting better, gets better as the season goes along on both sides of the ball. They're looking to big things from this young man. Another guy, let's go to running back Sam Moore, the senior from Poughkeepsie High School of the Hudson Valley Football League. This is a big play kid waiting to happen, Mars. He has really good straight line speed, and he also showed strength that he can run through contact. He even showed some receiving ability out of the backfield. This was a pretty well-rounded weapon, and he hit big plays in that independent league in the spring. This kid had 851 yards rushing and total, 851 yards total and 6 touchdowns. An impressive football player, expecting big things from him. Let's go to a wide receiver, Mars. Soren Hombro, the senior of Haldane. This kid's 6'2", good size kid. nice size target, solid catch radius, and I really like his ability to make contested catches, which is the ability to make catches through contact near the sideline. This guy has showed good body control. And he showed success on crossers, bubbles, screens. He was a really reliable target for them, and he's going to have to be a big target again this year, and I think he can. Another wide receiver, and I can really call him a scat back too, Davis Kim, the junior of Edgemont High School, another Hudson Valley football player. You know, Edgemont had a slew of injuries in the spring, Mars. They really had a bunch of key players go down, and he ended up being a real reliable target in both the short and deep game. And he showed good hands. He was elusive. He showed good body control. He's not a big guy, but he just made plays out there. This kid at 5'9", 175 pounds. Right, he's not a thin kid. He has a pretty solid build to him. He was just really reliable, and I think he deserves to be recognized on this list. And finally, to round it all up, can't have a list out of these teams without mentioning this guy, the running back Michael Myers, the senior from Tuckahoe. 5'10", 185 pounds, really solid all-around athlete. He can run with power and quickness. He also contributes in the passing game. You can line him up in the slot. They lined him up at tight end, run routes out of the backfield. He has been the cowbell now for multiple years for this Tuckahoe offense, and now goes his swan song, his final year, where I think he's going to be another huge impact player. Mars, who do you want to talk about?
I'll talk about two guys. I first talk about Brian Dan, and we've been mentioning him for a few years now, and I think that, you know, he, as you mentioned, is just a bull in the way he runs in this triple option style of offense.
He was a lineman not too long ago.
Yeah, no, I know, and we've been mentioning him, and I think that he has the abilities to just gain yards, like always gain something, right? Yeah. And you kind of have to in this type of offense. But you know, he's a guy that you can definitely rely on throughout the season. And lastly, you're gonna have to talk about Michael Myers,
yes,
right? You have to give this kid the respect. He's been a dominant force in this grouping
multiple seasons,
and for multiple seasons now. He's always been a guy that you have to look out for, and I really like the way he plays. He plays with power, he plays with explosiveness, and he has this swiftness to him, this quickness that he can make something out of nothing, right? And I like the way they use him in the pass game, and I really think he's going to have a great year, continue to work hard, and I'm really going to be impressed with this, how his production is.
He could be the best small school running back in this area. Another really underrated guy, multiple sport kid. And I did do a Frank's Film Room breakdown on this young man, and we'll let the audience see a snippet of why I think he's a talented player. For this video, we're going to talk about number 21 running back and safety Michael Myers from Tuckahoe High School, located right here on the screen. For this video, we're going to focus on the offensive side of the ball, and I've done a video on this young man before. And this is one of the more well-rounded athletes and running backs to be coming back for this upcoming football season. It's because he can attack a defense multiple ways. And I thought he improved on just being an overall better football player from the last video I did to this one. But he can hurt you running with power, running with quickness. He can attack you in multiple running schemes, outside running schemes, downhill running schemes. He can contribute in the passing game. They move him to the slot. They move to the tight end. I also think he's a solid blocker. I mean, this is one of the more well-rounded football players. And I'm excited to see him for his encore. Things he can work on. Sometimes I think he tries a little bit too hard. Sometimes I don't think he follows his blockers and takes what the defense gives you sometimes. So he's always trying to make a big play. But he just has to stay disciplined. But let's go over a couple plays that I really like. The mention is located right here. You're going to see they're going to try to run a trap. This end man on the line of scrimmage. The goal is to run in underneath him. But he does a good job of squeezing it, the defender. He sees it. He squeezes inside. Michael sees the open space on the outside. He's going to take it. Now you're going to see the burst. Okay, look at him burst through, get north and south really quick, and then the balance to stay on his feet after contact. Okay, and you saw this very often. Whenever you played Tuckahoe, you had to be wary of this man running the ball. Or really, this man anywhere out there. But look at him get to the outside. Look at the burst to get north and south, and then the balance to stay on his feet for a big touchdown. Let's go to another play. It's highlighted right here. Again, sometimes he made defenders look foolish. This is going to be an outside run. This defender comes clean. But again, this young man, you got to wrap up. You got to bring your hips because he's tough to tackle one-on-one. He's going to make the first guy miss. There's the first one. Now he gets to the outside. Okay, he sees a cutback lane. He's going to take it. Okay, look at him cut back again. Okay, that's 2. Here's another defender. Look at him juke him. 3. Look at him cut back inside. 4. And then back to the outside. He's still not down. There's 5 and 6. Talented player. All right, Mars, we're going to go to the offensive line now. And I'm going to start at the offensive tackle spot with Nick Santucci, the senior from Tuckahoe. He is back on this list, 5'10", 280 pounds, just a consistent presence, and he does a really solid job at drive and down blocks. He proved, that he improved in blocking in space too, which was something that I said he needed to improve on last time he was on this list, and he definitely got better in that category. And when he gets his hands locked in, he's a pretty good finisher. I mean, again, this was somebody we watched that had a bunch of pancakes, him just falling on guys, right? He always finds a way to get him to the ground. And when you talk to coach, again, this is a great work ethic kid, captain on the team, and he's going to have to be another year where he helps anchor this offensive line. And I think he can do that. Another offensive lineman, Mark Short, Marcel Blindbrook. This is a tall, strong. He showed solid athleticism. To me, he stood out watching Blindbrook. I know not a lot of people turn on Blindbrook football, but I'm happy that they're playing football, and it's because you can see some of the young athletes that they have. And this young man, Mark Short, was one of them. When he spoke to coach, he says he has a ton of heart. He's a yes coach guy, and he'll kill himself to get the job done. And to me, that proves that he leads with action. And this was an impressive young man when I watched Blindbrook play. Another lineman, Gabriel Camilleri. And again, I apologize if I butcher his name, the junior from Croton-Harmon. This is not a very big guy, right, at 6 feet. Not a very big, but he moves his feet well. And once he gets his hands locked in, he fights. Right, and he continues to fight and grind in his blocks. And I thought he was pretty impressive when I watched them play. And I think he deserved to be on this list. And when you talk to coach, he describes him as tough, physical, respected. He's a quiet, good character kid. And he lets his play do his talking. And this is a guy who's passionate about Croton-Harmon program. And he showed it out on the field. And he deserved to be recognized and put on this list. Another offensive lineman, the center. You love your centers. Johnny Bricker, the senior from Albertus Magnus, the kid 5'11", 220 pounds, powerful hands, blocks with good leverage, shows good strength and feet. And as a center, I thought he was pretty well-rounded. He's one of the better pass pro centers that I watched on tape in the offseason. So this is another impressive kid. And to round it all off, I think my favorite of the group, Mars, offensive tackle Jose Luis Regalado, the senior from Dobbs, Ferry. This kid 5'11", 280 pounds, thick, strong. He's built like a tree stump. He has a powerful lower body. He's not tall, but he can move defenders out of the point of attack. He showed some deceptive nimbleness too. I don't think he's the fastest guy, but he held his own against some of the faster defensive linemen, and even showed he can do some seal blocking and pulling. This was an impressive guy for a guy his size. He was good. He was good. I really liked watching him. Mars, which lineman do you want to talk about?
I'm going to talk about two guys. First, talk about Johnny Bricker from Albertus Magnus, and I really like the way he plays as center. I mean, I have to pick it as a center, and he's also number 55. I mean, how else can you not?
That's
your
old number.
I not pick him? But I really like the way he plays. He's a very well-rounded center. I think he's really impressive in the pass pro, and I think that he shows good strength, good footwork, and
good awareness.
Good awareness and very good leverage for being at the middle center of this offense. And then lastly, talk about Jose Luis Regalado. I mean, this kid is definitely grown right before our eyes. I mean, he's going to a massive individual, not height-wise, but he's been strong. He's like a strong base to him. And I think that, I mean, last year he showed a lot of promise, and he's only going to, get better with experience and age. And I think that he has the ability to pull and to seal, and I think he brings a lot of power with him. And he has this surprising quickness to him that he can stick with a lot of those.
He won't win no 40s, but in a short distance, he did show some nimbleness to him.
That's what I mean. I mean, we're not expecting him to win a foot race with the back or anything, but I think he has that quickness, that short span of area that you can need him to get to. He can do it. And
it's a good point. Before I go to the Frank's film room on him, when he spoke to coach, what he described him as, he has infectious enthusiasm. And that was a great way to describe the young man. His infectious enthusiasm, as in his enthusiasm, he has such good passion, rubs off on everybody. I thought that was a pretty nice comment. I did do a Frank's Film Room breakdown on this on Jose Luis Regalado, and I'm going to let the audience see a little snippet of why I think he's a special player. For this video, we're going to talk about number 78, offensive tackle and defensive lineman Jose Luis Regalado of Dobbs Ferry High School, located right here on the screen. And, this young man, although not the tallest guy, about 5'11", but 280 pounds, thick, strong lineman. He's built like a tree stump, powerful lower body. Once he gets his hands locked in, he really shows the ability to move people at the point of attack, and at times was dominant, especially against undersized defensive linemen. I think he's at his best when he's doing drive blocking and down blocking, but he shows quick enough feet and mobility to hold his own against some of the faster linemen, which was good to see. Short distances, he did show that he can block at the second level. Now, things he can work on, blocking in space is definitely something he can continue to get better at, and also working on his pass sets. But let's go over a couple plays that I mentioned. He's located right here. You're going to see him get to the second level, and you're going to see the power to deliver a blow to a defender and to finish. Okay, he's going to get to that linebacker. He's going to do a kind of a little small block on the defensive end, but really the goal is to get to this linebacker. So he's going to jam up this defensive end, you see. Then he gets to the linebacker, and look at the power. He generates that power, explodes. He really knocks over 2 guys on this play. Again, let's watch it right here. Again, he's not the tallest guy, which actually helps blocking with leverage right there because he has some serious power. Once he gets underneath you, he really can deliver the blow. Right, there's the shot right there. He really takes out 2 guys and lays on them for the pancake. Let's go to another play. I mentioned his ability to down block, drive block, move people from the point of attack. He's at the left tackle spot, and you're going to see that right here. They're going to run right behind him. Okay, quarterback's going to reverse pivot, hand to the fullback. He's going to be down blocking this defensive line, and watch him move. Again, just blows this guy out of the way, creates a nice alleyway, right, and he finishes off that block. Right, that's when he's at his best, no doubt. When he's drive blocking, down blocking, using his size and his strength. I mean, that's some nice power right there. All right, Mars, let's move to the defense. And, again, a lot of tough decisions, but let's start on the defensive line. I'm going to go with defensive tackle Ryan Sillo, the sophomore from Valhalla. This kid playing as a freshman, 5'9", 240 pounds. He lined up at the defensive tackle spot, and I thought he showed really solid strength for his age. He did not get pushed around. He used his hands well for a young guy, and he made some really nice plays in the middle of that defense. I thought he did pretty good read technique. And what read technique is when you get control of a lineman in front of you, Mars, and you read him to the ball and disengage him. For a freshman, I thought he did a really solid job. And when he spoke to coach about him, he really loved the work that he put in the offseason. He think he can have a big role in this upcoming season. Another defensive lineman I think people need to be aware of, Julian Koku, the senior from Horace Greeley, Mars. This kid's 6'3", 205 pounds. He is raw, but you can see the potential. He flashes it. And this kid has a good start. He flashed the ability to stop outside runs with speed and length. And he also showed the ability to rush the passer with solid hand usage. This is somebody people should keep an eye on. Coach has loved the way this guy put in the work. He says he was unblockable this summer. I'm excited to see what he puts out on the field. And I think he is a Frank's finest in this class. Another defensive tackle, Mars, Connor Jean Lewis, the senior from Albertus Magnus. This kid, 5'10", 200 pounds, has a nice mix of speed and power, and was very disruptive for an Albertus Magnus defense, Mars, that was #1 in the Independent League for the majority of the season in the spring. He was a big reason why. And finally, to round it all off, defensive end Andrew Reichelt, the senior from Tucko. This kid, 6'2", 180 pounds, a contributor on all 3 phases of the game, but defensively, boy, he was reliable in both the run and pass game. Thin frame, right? But he held up strength-wise. He wasn't overpowered much. It's because of that length that he has. He has a good start, and because of that length and speed, he's hard to seal. And what I really like about him, he is a smart football player. He's an aware football player, and he has a really good motor. And that's somebody I really liked watching on tape. Mars, who do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about Andrew. I'm going to definitely butcher
Andrew Reichelt.
Reichelt. I just want to make sure I don't mess it up. But I really like the way he, he's reliable in pass and run. Yeah. And I think that's something that's important in a league where you just cause disruption, right? You cause people to be aware of your presence is already one aspect of the game, but not being unable to stop him is another aspect. And I think that he has this ability to stop any sort of thing coming to his side. I really think he has this awareness, but most importantly, the motor, right? To continue fighting and keep getting into the atmosphere of the ball carrier, right? He's always near the play, and that's something that's important that a lot of people always kind of take for granted. I think if he's always around, it just makes him a force and actually helps your teammates because everyone's always has their focus on you.
Absolutely. He's going to have to anchor that defense, and I did do a Frank's Film Room breakdown on that young man. I'm going to let the audience see a little snippet of why I think Andrew's a special player. For this video, we're going to talk about number 75, defensive end and tackle, Andrew Reichelt. of Tuckahoe High School, located right here on the screen. And this young man, 6'2", about a $175, $180, long, thin, lean frame kid. But I tell you what, when you watch Tuckahoe, he was a very reliable and productive football player in the run and passing game. And it's because, I mentioned, he has good length, but he also has good feet and solid speed. So he's difficult to seal him out on the edge and run outside of him. But also when you try to leave him unblocked and try to read him, he can make plays backside. You know, what I really like about him is his awareness. So he has really solid awareness and makes smart football reads. Now, things he can definitely work on it. Strength is one thing. I definitely think he got stronger. This is the second video I made on him. Since the first time, he definitely improved on his strength. But there's definitely room for improvement. And I think it'll help him against bigger linemen and as a pass rusher. Let's go over a couple plays. I mentioned he's located right here on the screen. We're going to talk about that ability to defend the outside. They're going to pitch it to him. Again, they're actually going to try to just give him a little nudge from the guard because they don't think he's going to have the speed to get out there. But he shows that he does, right? They even get a nice little shot on him. But look at the speed out there. There he is right there. He's running all the way out just below the numbers to make this tackle. It looks easy, but this is not easy. Right? There's a pitch. They get a nice little shot on him, but look at the speed to get out there and make a tackle out in space. That's a really nice play. I mean, I want to watch it one more time. And you see that. He has that speed to go make these plays. Let's do another one. Again, one thing for sure, the last video I did, this video, he can rush on the outside, right? He can turn that corner, and you're going to see it. He has a solid rip move. Look at him rip through on this play. He's going to get the sack. We saw this in the previous tape, and it continued on this past season. One more time. Again, he has solid feet. He has a nice little rip move to get around the corner, and he shows that right there. Again, gets the big sack. All right, Mars, linebackers. Let's start outside linebacker Chris Metcalf, the junior of Albertus Magnus. 5'10", 170 pounds, good contained player. He tackles well in open field. And there were times on defense that they put him at the line of scrimmage and in space. And I thought he played the run well in both, at the line of scrimmage and in space. To me, he's versatile enough that you can send him on stunts and drop him into zone. I do think he has some rawness to him. But this was a very productive player. And I mentioned Albertus Magnus' defense was really solid in the independent league. And I think it'll be solid again. And it's because of guys like him. And he deserves to be on this list. Another outside linebacker, edge player, Mars, an underrated guy, I think, Jabari Marslin, the senior from Dobbs, Ferry. This kid's solid size and speed. He's at his best attacking the line of scrimmage, either on stunts or just attacking based on his run reads and looking to get the ball carrier with penetration. I believe he is athletic enough to drop into coverage, but boy, he caused some havoc on blitzes in the pass rush. I do think he is strong enough that he can sit in the box in some 4-3 looks as that outside linebacker. This was an impressive, underrated kid who I think can get even better. And finally, to wrap it up, the linebackers. Actually, I'm sorry, there's two more. I don't want to wrap it up. Let's go back to outside linebacker Keith Capuano, the sophomore from Hastings. This kid oozes potential, 6'3", 190 pounds. He really flashed on film when you watch Hastings, who had a talented team. He tackled well. They had him always, he was always around the ball, and he was one of their leaders in tackling. And so he has good length, decent speed, just really productive, and again, a lot of room to work with. But he was impressive as a freshman playing pretty darn well. And finally, to wrap it all off with now, is inside linebacker Jack Sullivan, the senior from Valhalla. This guy, 5'9", 200 pounds, compact player, makes really solid, decisive reads, and can really pop you when he squares you up. He was a tackling machine in the run game. And any plays run in between the tackle box, he seems to always be around it. This was a well-rounded run defending linebacker. Mars, what linebackers you want to talk about?
I mean, there's a few that I really want to focus on. But first, I'll talk about Jabari Marslin. I really like the way he has size and speed to him, and I really think he's an underrated player. He just causes mayhem when you send him on stunts, right? But probably the most impactful of these linebacker players is going to be Jack Sullivan from Valhalla, and I think that, like you said, he just creates so much, he's always near the ball,
Yes.
right? He just has a nose for it, and I think that he really just is, like you already mentioned, a tackling machine.
Yes.
Right? He's just always there, and you just can't get away from him. He just has that speed and awareness that he will find.
He reads well and he takes good angles, and that's what in high school level will get you to the ball.
Yep.
And the question is, can you finish? And he actually finishes pretty well. And I did do a breakdown on Jack, and I'm going to let the audience see a little snippet of why I think he's a special player. For this video, we're going to talk about number 54, linebacker and offensive lineman Jack Sullivan of Valhalla High School, located right here on the screen. And this young man, not the tallest guy at 5'9", but 200 pounds, compact build to him, and he has some power to him. I mean, when he squares you up, he can really deliver a pop. What I like the most about him is that he can read in the run game, he can float to the ball, and he does a pretty solid job of playing through contact, which to me separates linebackers. Those that can read quickly and those that can play through contact are really important for the linebacker position. And this guy's a tackling machine. He always seems to be around the ball. Now, I don't think he's the straight line speed fastest guy you're going to see out there, but he also did some spying on quarterbacks with mobility and made some plays out in space, including rushing the passer, which I like. Now, things he can work on, I definitely want to see more reps in the passing game, see him drop into coverage, see if he could do some man-to-man stuff. Those are things that I definitely would be looking for. But let's go over a couple plays I like. I mentioned he's okay right here. You're going to see, again, he's decisive. He attacks the line of scrimmage, and he can deliver a pop. They're going to motion this guy. They're going to run a dive. You're going to see he's going to read the flow read, running to his right, offense's left. You're going to see these linemen all stepping left, right? They got a nice double team here. You got a block right here. He sees this. He's going to shoot that gap quickly, not allowing the lineman to come off him and make a block on him. And when he squares you up, look at that kind of hit right there, right? He's got some power in that compact frame of his. So then there's the motion. He's going to get the dive. He attacks it fast, fills that hole, delivers a big-time shot. Let's go to another play. Here's located right here. This time you're going to see they're going to motion, try to run a lead play with this wingback. He's going to motion, try to block him. They're going to be running to his right, offense's left. Again, he sees the flow read, sees the lineman. You're going to see the lineman right in front of him, down blocking. That's an indicator. When the flow read's coming to you, lineman's down blocking, play's coming to you. Right? He's going to read it. He's going to hop forward. And the most important thing, he's going to make a blocker miss and make this play. And it's really important. That's what separates linebackers is their ability to read and play through contact, play through blockers, fight through blocks, and make plays. And this is a good one right here. Yeah, I love that. Step up, run through that contact, make that play. All right, Mars, let's go to the secondary to round it all off. I'm going to start with cornerback, Soren Gaines. And again, I apologize if we butcher your name at any point. We're not great with names, but we definitely want to recognize this young man from Haldane High School. And this young man has really good feet, fluid hips. He can turn and run. And I thought he showed solid ball skills. I thought this guy was a pretty well-rounded coverage guy. There are times quarterbacks wouldn't even look in his direction. And that, to me, is the ultimate respect of a defensive back. I think he's a really, really solid man-to-man at this point. I mean, he makes defenses better because he can match up on isolation with one of their better receivers, even though, he's not a very big guy, which I guess can get into some trouble with some bigger receivers, but he really held his own in the spring. And this is a multi-sport guy, so, he's a good athlete. Another guy I want to talk about, defensive back. I'll just call him defensive back because he could play multiple spots. That's Xavier Gaines, the senior from Ramapo. Again, cornerback or safety, this kid is explosive and smooth. He breaks well on the ball, and he has the hands to force turnovers. This guy has range. He can play the free safety spot if you want him. He can move around at the corner spot. But, he just has the tools. He can play either man or zone, and I think he's one of Ramapo's best athletes and probably going to be playing quarterback. So I'm curious to see how much secondary he plays, but he was a pretty darn good secondary player and deserves to be recognized there. Finally, to round it all off, Mars, we only have 3 DBs in this class. Slaughter Joseph, the senior from Albertus Magnus. This kid, 5'10", 140-pound, thin kid, but really good ball skills. He does a good job finding the ball and attacking it. And I also, again, the word versatility, I like that. He lines up as an outside corner. He can line up at safety. He's a strong football IQ guy who has good awareness. Mars, which DB do you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm going to talk about Joseph from Albertus Magnus. I think that he, like you said, is his ball hawk. He's very versatile. To be able to play corner and to also line up as a safety in a small school environment like this is really impressive. And the fact that he has a strong football IQ allows him to be very very dangerous on the defensive side of the ball. And I really like the way he plays, and I'm hoping to see him progress even further this coming season.
And I did a Frank's film breakdown on him as well, and we'll let the audience see a little snippet of why I think he's a talented player. For this video, we're going to talk about number 87, cornerback, safety, and wide receiver, Slaughter Joseph, of Albertus Magnus High School, located right here on the screen. And this young man, 5'10", 140 pounds, thin frame kid, but I tell you what, he's got good ball skills. He does a good job attacking the ball, finding the ball. He has those hands that he can cause turnovers for the defense. What I like about him is his versatility. I mean, he lined up as an outside corner. He lined up as a single high safety. And he showed the ability that he could do some man and he could do some zone. Now, at his best is when he's reading the quarterback and attacking routes, which is why you saw a lot of success at the single high safety look. Now, things he can work on, I think he's got to get stronger. I think this is a guy who can get more physical, put on some more muscle. And sometimes, he does read quarterbacks well, but sometimes he spies on quarterbacks a little bit too much, which causes some separation with receivers. But, let's go over a couple plays I did like. And let's start at the safety spot. There is the single high safety. You're going to see they're going to be doing a nice little comeback route. Wide receiver's going to be doing a bit of a corner route, although you're going to see the ball's going to be placed a little bit in an awkward spot. And the quarterback's going to roll. He's going to read it. He's going to attack the deep route. And he's going to have some nice concentration on this INT right here. And look at him come over there. See the quarterback's rolling. He attacks the route. And look at the concentration right here. Really nice over-the-shoulder catch. Through contact, the receiver trying to hit him. And he forces that turnover. Right? Starts in the middle of the field. Once the quarterback starts rolling, he's going to roll. Right? And he's going to attack that deep route. And again, he's got to get outside the hash mark by the numbers. Look at the nice catch right there. Through contact. Nice INT. Right at the numbers. And here's in the middle of the field. Got trips to the right. Let's focus on the number 3 receiver. We're going to try to drag right in front of him. Deep drag. Okay, that's what we're going to try to target. He tries to get good leverage right in front of him. He reads it. He's going to undercut the route and make a nice play. Okay, he sees it. Receiver tries to get leverage on him by getting in front. But he makes a nice little break. Right? He makes a nice break on the ball to knock it down. And look at him at the hash. Receiver tries to undercut him. All right, Mars, to wrap it all off, at the kicker spot, I got Morgan Balkan, the junior from Irvington. Again, he was a Frank's finalist on the list last year. I know Irvington's going through a bunch of changes, new coach, new system, trying to figure out the program there. And again, so you don't get a lot of insight, but I do think this young man deserves to be recognized. I thought he was a pretty solid kicker for them. And I think he deserves to be recognized again for this list. Yeah, man. I feel like I mentioned in a lot of other videos, special teams does not get its due, and I think that having a good kicker is really going to have a lot of impact in many different ways. Absolutely, and that is going to be it. I appreciate everyone for tuning into the show. I want to congratulate these young men for being selected, and we look forward to watching these guys play as well as every other player and team in this class. And we want to thank everyone again. I hope you guys have a good night, and we'll see you all very soon.